order of the first regular meeting for December 2020 of the Bridgeport Board of Education. Okay, we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance now. I pledge allegiance to the flag,
To the flag
of the United States
of
of
the
America,
United States of America,
and to the republic
and to the republic
which stands one
which
nation
stands
under God,
under God,
indivisible, with
indivisible,
liberty and
liberty
justice.
and justice for all.
Okay. So next on the agenda is the roll call. Mr. Secretary, would you call the roll?
Yes. John Weldon,
Present.
Bobby Brown,
Present.
Sybil Allen,
Present.
Albert Benahan,
Present.
Jessica Martinez,
Here.
Joseph Sokolovic,
Present.
Chris Taylor,
Present.
Sosimo Fabian,
Present.
and myself, Joseph Lombard, present.
And I'm present too.
I called you already. I
Did you?
called you.
Okay. It's been a long day. All right. So we have public comment, agenda items only. Ms. Valier, do you have anyone queued up for public comment?
Confirming that, one moment, sir. And I've just confirmed, sir, no one has signed up to speak.
Okay. Next on the agenda is approval of board minutes. First is the November 23rd, 2020 special meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Allen. Is there a second? Anyone?
Second.
Ms. Brown? Seconds the motion. Is there any discussion or edits? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Any abstentions? Next is November 23rd, 2020 regular meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Allen. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Benahan. Are there any discussion or edits to be had? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, I'm going to dispense with the chairman's report and move directly to committee reports and referrals. First being educational diversity, equity, and inclusion. Mr. Sokolovic.
We have not met in the interim, and there is no scheduled meeting until the chairmanships are decided.
Okay. Are there any referrals?
Sorry, what referral was there for, Mr. Joe? Sorry, I didn't hear the part.
Educational diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay, I'm sorry. No, I passed. Thank you.
Okay. Facilities. Facilities has not met since Mr. Illingworth's departure. Are there any referrals for facilities?
Yes, I have one, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I know you're the chair for the facility now. I know the last time, for the record, you said you will find out what happened with Skin School, the email I sent. So I just want to know if you did remember the holes, what's going on in the back, the emails. I sent you the pictures. I just want to know.
You brought that up at the last meeting, and Mr.
Yeah.
Castani indicated that the asphalt plant was closed.
Yes, it's closed for the season, but I have spoken with Craig Nadrizny in facilities that will be addressed as soon as possible.
All right, thank you, because it's very dangerous for our kids, of the safety. So that's what I'm worried for.
Okay.
Thank you. No.
Okay. Finance, oh, Mr.
Oh,
Sakala?
John, I'm sorry. No, John, I'm sorry. I got one for facilities. I put my hand up, but I didn't see it. Facilities, I got a referral. Unless Mr. Testani could answer it in his report. I would like to know on-hand COVID supplies, safety supplies, and such inventory levels.
Yeah, I can give you, an update on that in my report. It is fluid because we did send out some stuff to schools, in preparation for January. But I can't give those numbers as of, last week, yes.
Okay, so I'll withdraw my referral.
Okay, all right. Next on the agenda is finance.
Once again, we have not met in the interim between meetings. Depending upon how the chairmanships shake out, is dependent on the next meeting.
Okay. Any referrals?
Yes, I have one for the refer for financial is
Finance?
like to know, yeah, I like to know to get information about do we have money for the overtime, what's going on with the money for overtime. So I just like to get some report about that.
The money for overtime? What do you,
Yes.
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
We have money for overtime. That's why I'm asking, you know.
Do we have
I
it?
want to know the, yeah.
Mr. Benham, are you looking for a breakdown of overtime by department or just a
Yeah,
general?
well, yeah,
overtime?
for the from department, yes. That's it, Mr. Chair.
That's it? Okay. Governance, we had a meeting scheduled this evening for governance to discuss, start the discussion of, number one, allowing non-voting members on committees, being people from the public, and if we'd want to do that, how that would work, and to also discuss the possibility of allowing for remote participation in board meetings when we do go back to meeting in person. We were going to start that conversation, but the special meeting we had ran overtime and we were not able to accommodate the meeting. I will recall the meeting for some time when it's convenient for everyone. Are there any other referrals to governance? Okay. Personnel committee has not met. Are there any referrals for personnel? Okay. Students and families, is there a report?
So far, last time I give the report, our next meeting is gonna be December 17th, 2020, at 5:30.
Okay. Are there any referrals? Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I would like a little bit more of a comprehensive bullying report, not just confirmed instances, but reported instances, and just like we used to get, how many reports, substantiated, unsubstantiated. Because we just got, I believe we just got an overall thinner one.
Yeah, we
used to get
talked, the
a-
last
we
time
used-
we talked. Yeah, Mr. Plan to give a little report like everything was fine, that there was no report, no bullying, nothing like that, everything was fine. So I would ask again now more details about that, Mr. Joe.
Right. And also, also not just the bullying, but like instances of like assaults and things that don't rise to the level of bullying, like there would be bullying precursors, so we could like see if there's any trouble areas, like any schools having kids get smacked around or what have you, or just idea of what's going on before the bullying.
Yeah, sound good, Mr. Joe. You will have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Teaching and learning, Skalovic?
Yes, teaching and learning again did not meet in time between the both meetings, and dependent upon the chairmanships and schedules to be determined.
Okay. Any referrals? All right. Superintendent's report. As we've been doing of late, it's a two-part report, a general and a COVID-19 update. Mr. Testani, you have the floor.
Thank you. So a couple of items, as you know, we are operating on a fully remote schedule. Health Department and the Bridgeport Public Schools are communicating daily to get updates on COVID-19 cases here in the Bridgeport community. That's going to be that and Fairfield County numbers. We're trying to get a good handle on when will be an appropriate time to reopen to in-person learning. Given some of the discussions with health officials across the state, they're anticipating this week and next week to really see the effects of the Thanksgiving holiday. I think we've begun to see that here in Bridgeport, as are other communities around us, from the weekend report and statewide. But we'll get more clarity tomorrow on the DHP call. That being said, if that's going to be the indicator 2 weeks out from the holiday, that we're going to see the most cases begin to be popping up, we're probably looking at and tentatively would start looking to reopen our schools around January 11th at the earliest, the 19th at the latest, unless we continue to see disruptions that could be occurring in our schools. But that being said, we are shooting for that January 11th date to reopen schools to in-person learning, especially for our youngest learners and our more vulnerable populations of kids who really can benefit from having in-person instruction and contact with our teachers and our support staff. The other piece to that will be a memo will be going out to district-wide and to families to also give the parents who had chosen remote learning at the beginning of the year, as we talked about in early fall, the opportunity, if they'd like to switch and send their child to in-person when we do reopen in January. Only parents of the remote learners, it'll be in the memo, will have to notify the school to let them know in preparation of them being able to receive more kids in person. If the child was already attending in person, there is no need for parents to have to send something to the principal to notify them. We'll expect them back. All devices have been distributed. We've worked with families throughout the last several months between Wi-Fi hotspots that we were provided and also our partnership with Altice One to get internet connectivity. It seems that we've done a really good job in providing families with the connectivity they need. It's not always the best of speed. That's some of the feedback we've gotten from some families. But again, when you're trying to run Microsoft Teams and some other things throughout the household, I'm sure Altice did not provide their highest internet speed package for free, but it has been sufficient enough to be able to address the needs that our families have. So I'm happy to report that. Un-COVID related, we do have this Friday, we're kicking off Computer Science Week here in Bridgeport Public Schools. So we have a nice event planned through our science department with Mr. Henry. Lieutenant Bisowitz has been involved in this, Lieutenant Governor, excuse me, myself, Sacred Heart University. So we're really excited about an hour of code that we're providing all students in the district the opportunity to get exposure to computer science education. We know that this is a growing asset and skill set in the marketplace of all industries, from cybersecurity, manufacturing, and gaming, also to the world of finance and beyond. So this will help our kids be able to compete in a global job market. We're hoping that our talented kids that we have here in Bridgeport will take advantage of the increased offerings that they'll have over the next several years to computer science. We will be finalizing, it's a couple of weeks late, this week because of the virtual component. The first quarter recognition, student staff recognition video. Mr. Grasty in my office has worked extremely hard to put this together. So hopefully by the end of the week, we can get that out to everyone and put on the website in preparation for then barking period 2 recognitions will be a little bit, little more timely. So working on that as well. One of the things mentioned, I could see we should probably address was the sign Mr. Taylor was presenting regarding union busting. I understand that there may be some sentiments that a couple of layoffs were made. They were no way directly related to going fully remote. We're going through a restructuring and reorganization to fit the needs of the district as we've entered into a more technological age here in Bridgeport. The needs of our IT staff and the skill set need to be in line with 2021 standards, industry standards. So we had to make some tough decisions, unfortunately, that would include a couple of layoffs and some job postings that would fit the needs that we have here in the district. We have, as you know now, upwards of almost 20,000 new devices. We have a online learning platform that through Microsoft Teams, which is state of the art. We have also ClassLink. We have a number of other programs that we run that requires folks that'll be able to support those platforms and those devices. We're getting into Promethean boards and really all the things that our kids deserve to have in terms of the latest technology to have them have those learning experiences that other surrounding districts have. So we feel confident that we're moving in the right direction in terms of trying to have staff on board that can support those initiatives. So that's where we're at with that.
Before you move on, I see a couple of hands up and I have a question. So you eliminated some positions? Is that correct?
We reduced some positions and we added new positions that would be better aligned with what we need in order to support our needs here in the district.
And the individuals whose positions were eliminated, were they allowed to apply for the new position?
Well, they had the option of applying for new positions. They also and continue to have the option within their union to they have bumping rights to open positions as well.
Well, they do.
They do.
May I ask a question when you're finished? Because it's troubling me.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. That's all I had to say. So there are bumping rights, and some people were able to get some of the new positions.
Correct.
Okay. All right, Ms. Allen, and I see another couple of people with their hands up.
I need something. I'm hearing something, and I hope it's not true, that a lot of jobs have been declassified and taken out of union scale, whatever they call it, and they're put in a different category. I'm not quite sure of what it is, but someone spoke to me regarding that, and that's troubling to find out that people who've had these jobs and who want these jobs are under a different non-union employment. Can you clarify some of that for me?
Sure. So there are 3 positions that currently are non-union. There is a process. There is a process to claiming those positions. They're not automatically given or placed into any one particular bargaining unit. You have to appeal.
So they are non-union.
Currently, they are non-union. That may not necessarily be the case forever, but.
And how many positions? You said 3 positions?
3 positions and a total of 4 individuals.
And why is this? Were these positions taken from under the union?
They are new positions that do not exist in any current bargaining unit. So again, they may be claimed by one or more bargaining units because there are similar positions between the city and the Board of Ed that do not all fit into one bargaining unit. So there is a
So
process.
they will have the right to be or to belong to a union.
They could if a bargaining unit applies to the state to take those positions.
Yeah, but I understand they were in a bargaining unit and they were taken out.
No, those positions were reduced that were in the bargaining. The new positions were never in a bargaining unit because they didn't exist. These were old postings, old job descriptions that were 10 or more years old that do not meet the needs of today's technological age.
Well, I'll try to get some more information from the people who said that they're impacted by this. Some people are impacted by this, and they were real, talking about it and saying that they felt it was unfair.
All right. Mr. Taylor, got your hand up?
I do, Mr. Weldon. How are you today, sir? Congratulations on another year of chairman.
Thank you.
I must say to you, I wasn't thrilled about 4 meetings in a row, but I guess we have to do what we have to do. I have to say, I know no other term for this, but this sounds like union busting to me. We had a meeting, public meeting, where we were told no layoffs. And I understand the semantics of it, but please keep in mind, you don't hear from me unless my constituents ring my phone. I don't look for trouble with a flashlight. And this has become very disturbing. These were 3 positions, and I don't know the qualifications of the individuals that held them, and nor do I care. I'm not here for day-to-day operations. If they were not sufficient employees and the department head felt they needed to be terminated, there's a proper channel. But after going on in this meeting and to 9 of my colleagues, we all left here with the confidence there would be no layoffs was disheartening. And I understand things happen, and I 100% support the superintendent. What I do not support is clear union busting. It is nothing other than union busting. When you eliminate 3 positions and then post 3 similar positions in a non-union position, it is union busting. There is no other way to classify it. So I apologize if I'm offending anybody or somebody's upset, but it is union busting, and I will not stand by it. We signed a contract with the 1522, and we should honor it. They are working people, the paraprofessionals, and the people in that union are the backbone of this industry, as every other employee of the Bridgeport Board of Education is. So I will say, once again, the reposting of those positions, I believe in my heart was wrong. It was not a nice thing to do. I do not believe the superintendent had anything to do with it. I suspect it's the department head trying to stack the deck, as we say. And I'm only one of 9. I'm a tiger without any teeth. If my colleagues choose to allow this to go on, you will not do it with my vote. So I apologize for taking time on this, and I hope that you all see fit, all 9 of us, or the remaining 8, say, hey, this needs to be looked at. We displaced people from employment weeks before the holiday, after we were all online saying there'll be no layoffs. We couldn't have got a heads up this was coming. I mean, do you know how we look to the general public? And I understand the department head and the superintendent has to do what's best for the district. And I don't know if it was best for the district, but I could tell you what's not good for the district is union busting. And that's all I have to say about that. And I will not stand by while it goes on. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you for helping me get that out, because I wasn't quite sure of what was going on, but it was taught.
It's union busting and nothing but union busting. That's the only thing you can call it, Sybil.
I'm saying that's why I brought it up, but I didn't know, what to call it, because I'm not too familiar with a lot of the terminology. But that's exactly what I think it is too, now that you've explained it. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, may I respond to that, please?
Sure.
Again, these jobs currently are non-union because they are the new jobs that have never been established with the educational and skill set requirements of the 15-year-old and even older job posting. There are similar jobs on the city side as well that are not in the union that was made mention here. So the union can claim these jobs. Any of the bargaining units can claim these jobs and follow the process with the state labor board, and we'll have that discussion. So there's no intention of union busting. I would like to remind everyone that in the last 5 or 6 years, we've reduced teaching ranks, we've reduced the administrative ranks, and those jobs have been eliminated and not brought back, all members of bargaining units.
But have you reclassified some of the jobs that you are now touting that are not busting a union?
We have, because the responsibilities that have to be performed still must be done. They've just fallen now on other individuals within the bargaining unit. So unfortunately, they were a cause for the district to reduce because of financial difficulties, funding. But again, there's no intention here. There are 3 jobs.
Were the people that hold some of these jobs informed of how this would pan out?
Sure. When an administrator position has been eliminated in the last 2 and 3 years, they've had to bump down to the teaching ranks, as is their right. These folks, the 3 individuals that have been impacted, have bumping rights. So it's not as if we're displacing them without employment. They have to work with labor relations and the human resource department in order to find placement in the union in another position.
Well, see, I got a call and you know, I looked, I don't know too much about the union other than, you know, the union I was in, whatever it was when I was there, but I just wanted to have some clarification on that.
Sure, no problem. I mean, it's nothing that cannot be discussed. I brought it to the table tonight because I think it's worthy of mentioning the complete story around what is being portrayed and what is actually factual. Again, more than happy, HR has provided individuals, if they have exercised their bumping rights, the positions within the bargaining unit that they are qualified to do.
And these are non-union jobs that are being posted.
These are non-union jobs until a bargaining unit claims them. They have to go through the process and fill out the paperwork to claim the position with the state board of labor board. And then that conversation will begin. So it may not be this one union. There may be another bargaining unit who says this fits more in line with positions that we have, and we are going to take that and we're going to apply for it, and we'll take those members into our bargaining unit. So it's not management's decision on which union these go into unless it's certified staff that are teachers or administrators.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it just gave me some concern because, you know, I'm all for people who need employment, and I just thought it was, you know, as Mr. Taylor said, union busting.
We have not eliminated or laid off or furloughed any members of our staff from March 12th, when we were fully remote. There was a governor's order. There is no longer a governor's order. We have maintained employment of all our employees from now until we reopen. And God forbid that we can't reopen well into later in the year, we will continue to employ everyone. And we're not under any obligation to do that. So, but I feel it's important because these are folks that when we are in session, are very valuable to the operations of the Bridgeport Public Schools. And I respect everyone's contribution to our kids here. Unfortunately, we have to keep up with the needs of the district, and it was obvious we needed to do some restructuring. No one's busting a union, one union or this union.
And these people that are being recirculated or restructured into something else, they are given an opportunity to have a job.
If they exercise their bumping rights. I believe one individual retired, from what I was told today. So we're talking about two individuals who did not apply for the reposted jobs, and that was their, I guess, decision not to, because they didn't feel like they wanted to, or they didn't have the requirements that we were asking for the new positions, because it required a skill set that they may not have had. So they have their bumping rights into a position they are qualified for. Not sure how they'll exercise those rights, or if they've begun that yet. But that is their right under the collective bargaining agreement, that they do have bumping rights. Just like when administrators have been eliminated, we've had to put them back in the teaching ranks. So, I mean, this is nothing new to Bridgeport Public Schools. It just happens that, we had a couple of individuals who were upset about the situation, and I'm not saying they don't have a right to be, and reached out to board members to express their dissatisfaction.
Mr.
Thank you.
Benahan, you have your hand up?
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. I will be to the point. I will be honest, because you go know me to the study. You know I'm honest with you, because I don't like to be lying. But I'm agree what Mr. Taylor said. First of all, let me go back about the computers and everything. Why we still have the computer? They are Windows 7 and they're not updates, because I have complained with a lot of parents, and I'll tell you that sometimes when they are in with the teachers, the students talking with the teacher, they're working, and sometimes, boom, the computer go off or they're off the line, and they have a hard time to get in back again, the student with the teachers. And it's like all this computers not updates. They got Windows 7 and Windows 8, and I see it by my, I see it, directly, and I see what's happened. My second thing is, I want you to answer me everything at the same time. When they give a layoff of these gentlemen, I was in shock, because first of all, I know that after you talk and you say it was going to be no layoff at all for nobody, and then you come, after a few days, boom, we got laid off. When this gentleman I know for the day one, a lot of staff, but this gentleman, special IT, be there for us, working very hard. It's not easy what they're going through, working with us, doing an amazing job. And then they give a layoff for any reason, because any situation, because I know we spoke about that. I don't know why after so many years, they decide to see what's wrong. I don't know why in the beginning they don't see what's wrong, and then they can do the action in the beginning. But I'm not agree with that situation when these gentlemen, they work very hard. They do a lot of things. They go over the job. Sometimes they do things that others little cannot do. And sometimes they go extra mile to be sure the job is done the way it is. So as a as a person, as a family, like a dad, like a stuff like that, and a leader, feel bad for them that they treat them like a nobody, they treat them like we don't need you. And then especially the union, oh, you got union, that's okay. And then bring another gentleman without the union. That I know and I understand and I see that gentlemen, they do stuff the other ones sometimes they cannot do, including, and I'm telling you right away, including, Mr. What's the name? Jeff.
Be careful
He
about employees.
things, and then he do things extra miles, this gentleman. So I'm not agree about the situation. I don't know what's going on with the union. I know they're working with that, but I just want to be sure for the record that is not accepted or all this giving layoff all these gentlemen when they work hard for us for the Bridgeport School. That's what I want to let you know. But I want you to answer me about the Windows, with the computer. What's going on with that, please?
Yeah, sure. We do have older computers still in the district that have not been replaced. These are desktop units that are for staff. As you know, if it wasn't for major donations from the state of Connecticut, the Dalio Foundation, the city of Bridgeport, and some CARES Act money, we wouldn't have any sufficient devices for our students this year. We'd be right back in the same position where we were making almost 8,000 packets every 2 weeks for kids. So we've not had enough money to purchase historically devices for students. We've had very little money then to trickle down to staff. So Windows 7, we are updating all the staff computers with new SSD cards to bring them up to Windows 10 this week. We ordered those. They came in about a week and a half ago, I believe. I'm not sure the exact date. IT department is imaging them, getting them all up to speed. And then the sysops at each building have been freed up this Wednesday to do all the computers in their building. So we are addressing this, but this is not a IT issue. This was a lack of funding issue on the part of the district to not have updated units for our staff that required them. But we made a concerted effort, and we will have, I believe, well over 900 of them completed this week.
And how many we got left to be updated?
Well, we should be pretty much almost done at that point with the ones that have already been done over the last couple of years. So right now we're focusing on grades 3 through 8. This way that they can perform the interim assessments in January and also the SBAC. But we should have everything completed in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, and also I know you said something out like all the guys that were given layoff, they can apply for it back again. And I believe they understand that they never offer nothing about applied again. And also if they cannot be bumped on union worker when they're getting payoff. So that's true or not?
No, they can exercise bumping rights if they're laid off. That is true. So they need to read their contract. And number two, no one's going to ask you or has to ask you or beg you to apply for a job. I think the reason why they may not have applied is they didn't meet the posting. We increased the requirements that from the posting that was 15 years old. We need a higher skill set of labor in the IT department. And so we did increase the job requirements to at least an associate's degree or something comparable in certain types of certifications that people in the industry should have. So not to knock anybody, I don't want to discuss HR matters publicly, but I think if you had a complete understanding of the situation, you might feel differently. That's all I will say.
No, I understand, Mr. Zastani, but you have to understand we got these gentlemen all over. They work very hard. It doesn't matter how difficult is the job. I know they got the job done. Because sometimes our meeting when we was personal, you see they went crazy trying to figure out everything, is correct. And, we can go live. But I feel like, they treat him very badly because they're not easy what they're doing. And I know they do extra mile to have the job done. And I hope the union do something that pay work for them and help them because, I would prefer to have them back because they have the experience. They know what they're doing. Not new people that they start new training when you really have people, they know what they're doing. That's it, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr. Sokolovic, you have your hand up?
Yes, sir. I have, I'd like to say I have no opinion whatsoever on these job movements, nor at this point should I. The only point the board should be involved in employment decisions is if there's an arbitration hearing that comes to us, a settlement offer or something like this, we are acting prematurely. We are acting in the place of the union and their bargaining unit, who they should bring that complaint to. Rather than bring that complaint to the union and go through due process, they circumvented the process and found some easy to sway board members to fight their battles for them. And I think that's unfair.
Hey, Joe, I'm not easy to sway.
Oh, no. I'm not fighting a battle. I'm just bringing,
Okay, guys.
No.
One at a time.
No, hey, John, point of order. He's out of line. He's out of line. He's out of line. He's out of line. You're out of line. I'm going to call your shop steward. Tell him you support union busting. You're a union buster.
May I finish?
You're a union buster, Sakalovic. You're a union
May I-
person.
And you're a lazy ass.
Okay,
Now may I continue, since we're gonna call
All right.
names?
so
Is the floor mine again?
the floor is yours again.
Thank you. Now, we have no place in personnel decisions unless it's executive positions. We are out of line. We are out of order to try to pressure the superintendent because we got an email or because we got a phone call from somebody who knows us and who could grab the phone and call us. That is totally unfair to the superintendent. It's totally unfair to the department heads, and we should not be interacting in such manners.
And
I
it's unfair
apologize
to
for
the
my early
employees.
outburst, and I felt attacked. And I'm
Okay.
done. Thank you.
So that's the end of that.
Mr. Wilder, I had my
Something
hand up.
else to say? Okay, go ahead.
First off, Mr. Chairman Weldon, I find it highly inappropriate for Mr. Zakalovic. I'm not getting involved in day-to-day affairs. My constituent base are the working class of Bridgeport. My concern is the gutting of the 1522. I don't know what the union procedure is, and frankly, I don't care. I'm an elected official, as is Mr. Zakalovic, and what's more disappointing is Mr. Zakalovic is a union man. I'm not telling the superintendent who he can hire, who he can fire, what he can't do. I have just expressed my concerns, which I have every right to do, as every other person on this board does. What the superintendent chooses to do with the department head is up to them. But here's what I will tell you. I will do it kicking and screaming. I find it very offensive when you post 3 similar jobs after you've discharged 3 union workers without going to that local and saying, hey, do you have anybody to meet these job requirements? It's nothing more than union busting. You guys can put whatever spin you want on it. And mind you, John, like you, I'm a Republican, and the only Democrats I have supporting this are Albert Benahan and Sybil Allen. So I'm totally confused. But right is right, wrong is wrong. Wrong will never be right, and right will never be wrong. The manner in which it was done, I find offensive. We represent the Board of Education, and hey, you all know I got a checkered past. I'm not preaching morality here. I'm just saying, we signed a contract. We have an agreement with the 1522. It just smells bad. You get rid of 3 unions, people, and then you wonder why they don't apply for a non-union position. Are you kidding me? That's a dumb. Who in the world would say, oh, let me get out of my union and apply for a non-union position? That is just, if you guys fall for that, you were born at night and last night. I mean, this is absolutely absurd that anybody with a consciousness to believe that, oh, we changed the job description. No, you should have went to the 1522 and said, hey, who do we have to meet these new qualifications? Here's what we're doing. Instead, you lay them off. You repost the jobs and you say, well, you could give up your union membership and come join these for non-union position. Oh, by the way, any other union can pick up these job titles. So if that doesn't spell out that they're trying to break the 1522 and eliminate their members, I don't know what would. So that's all I'll say about that. Joseph Kovic, sorry I interrupted you, but please don't ever speak about me that tongue again, because I won't forgive it next time. I stand up for the people that represent me. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
That we represent. You stand up.
Absolutely, Sybil.
Mr. Chair?
Absolutely.
Mr. Chair, just to go on record, 1522 in all cases has not been as cooperative during the last several months either, with trying to accommodate other union members from a different bargaining unit who would either have to have been laid off or allowed to take on some of 1522 work during the time of COVID-19. So we've tried to work very closely with all the bargaining units to make sure that no one has to be displaced. So there's no deceit here. I can tell you that. Again, BCAS at one time had 120 members. They're down to a little over 80. I wish there was the same outcry as those jobs were just dumped on other individuals combined. But again, that's neither here nor there. But unfortunately, again, we have two individuals that have been impacted here. There's no saying that 1522 will not get these positions back in their union. They have to go through the proper channels to do so. We're not just going to decide they are 1522 jobs. That's not the way it's done. It could end up that way. I'm not saying it's not going to be. They may apply for these jobs to be entered into their union, and I don't have a problem with that. But again, there was nothing fishy here. It's not posting with the same job description. The job description is completely different. The job is completely different. The demands are completely different. The skill set needed is completely different than it was years and years ago when these job descriptions were called PC technicians. If we're still operating with PC technicians, a lot of that can be done by our kids up at Fairchild Wheeler IT School. You need a much broader skill set to meet the needs of what we have here in the district, the technological demands of the largest or second largest, depending on year, school district in the state of Connecticut with a skeleton crew.
Mr. Chairman, just a quick rebuttal to that. I'm just curious, Superintendent Testani, with all due respect, this is not personal between you and I support you 100%. Were the three people discharged offered the opportunity to go get those qualifications or take some practical tests to see if they possess those skills to meet this new job requirement?
Well, that's a great question, but just like with teachers, just like with other folks, you have to take some responsibility for your own professional growth. If you go to Mercedes-Benz or any car dealership, the traditional grease monkey is no longer employed at those places. You see at every workstation certifications that these folks have to go out and get in order to stay in tune with the industry standard. We need folks that are going to take the opportunity and the initiative to grow their certifications, to grow their skill set. If you are going to get a job in 2013 and 7 years later, do not take any initiative to improve yourself, to grow in the position that you take in 2013 to meet the industry standard throughout the next 7, 10 years, I have to say shame on you then.
Well, Superintendent, I respectfully disagree with that. Some people are motivated by opportunity. When you're not, who's going to incur a cost with an employer if you don't see there's room for advancement? I believe this could have been handled with some advance notice. It wasn't a secret that we were going to need this training.
And a little more dignity.
And there was going to be some advancements. The fact that we're not working with the people that work with us, and listen, I'm not here about the employees. I'm here about the process, and not to offer, hey, do you have this? Can you get this? Is there a practical test? Just to lay off and then repost just sends a bad message. And no matter what you say, my constituents are never going to get by it. I brought it up. I'm hoping, Superintendent Testani, that you will reconsider your position. I mean, I have no right to request or ask my colleagues, maybe we could take a vote on and order it, but I doubt that's going to go that way. But I would just appeal to your sense of reason and your union background, sir. You were a union leader and a damn good one at that, and you're a damn good superintendent. It just smells bad. I can't say it any other way. Had somebody be given the opportunity right before the holidays, right after we have a public meeting, and I've seen the job descriptions, they're very, very similar. I don't claim to be a union expert, but it is offensive to anybody with a mentality to see the verbiage that was used, loophole techniques to displace union workers that we have entered into a contract with. I do not negotiate a contract after I sign it. I negotiate the contract prior to signing, and I believe in the right to collective bargaining. And when I sign a contract, the contract must be honored. And I'm not saying that's not what we're doing, but it just does not look good. And I would appeal to you, sir, as a humanitarian, to reconsider the position and I'm not saying you have to take the employees back, but at least make the offer for people to get the proper credentials. In trade, I hold several trade licenses. They send out a bulletin. Hey, in 8 months, we're going to require this to continue your plumbing license. They give you an opportunity as a tradesman to get current in your field. If you don't, then they revoke your state license. But they just don't come in one day and say, hey, Chris, your plumbing license is no longer any good. So with that being said, Superintendent, I appreciate your time. I do support you. I'm not trying to micromanage, but please understand my position. And I hope my colleagues understand my position. And, you know, just think that could happen to you or one of your loved ones, and how would you feel? Just in the manner of which it was done. If the people weren't good workers, get rid of them. I cannot defend laziness, nor would I want to ruin the integrity of the 1522 with inappropriate workers. That's up to the superintendent. I just didn't like the procedures. So I thank you all for putting up with me this evening.
I do want to.
No
it is worth
problem.
mentioning that the Board of Education did not sign or negotiate any contract with 1522.
We're arguing semantics.
It was the city of Bridgeport.
It was, and we answered the city. We're arguing semantics. We all know that the city handles it with labor relations. But you know what? At the end of the day, the department head and you are the guys that put us on the block. So I'm not going to blame the city. That's all I'm going to say, but I'm not going to argue semantics about that. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, Mr. Benahan, you have your hand up?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Weldon. I'm only going to say this very clear. We're here about talk any concerns. We're not here to attack nobody. We're not here to tell people what to do and what to say. So I feel that Mr. Yogo, that situation attacking Mr. Taylor or whatever he would say is out of the line, Mr. Chair, out of the line, because I know sometimes we decide we agree and we disagree, but not go, you know, cross the line. So only thing I can tell you is, so in I told the standing, I was for the whole board. So how did all the, you know, the hard work was done? All the hard work is done in all these IT and all the Bristol school and everything is very obvious. It's because the union worked very hard to be sure it's done. So having another new people, it's like a new beginning, and training and stuff like that. Come on, I'm sorry, but I have to say this, that, you know, whoever's in charge in that department, and you know who they are, they training the way they want, who they want the training. The only thing I can say is it's a shame that what's going on, that we have to lay off these people, especially on Christmas. And I agree 100% with Mr. Taylor, sir. That's it, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay. All right. You have anything more to report, Mr. Testani? Is there a COVID update?
No, we went through the COVID update regarding fully remote, the intention to reopen in person. Not much else to report at this time. I think enough's been said tonight.
Okay. There's no old business to transact. New business. First up is discussion and possible approval to renew the facilities department lease at property located at 1085 Connecticut Avenue. Mr. Testani.
Yes, as we talked about in the contracts committee, the lease on Connecticut Avenue, where our facilities department operates, is coming due in a couple of weeks. We spent a lot of time working to try to see if the city would be able to accommodate us in a facility large enough with public facilities. That did not pan out. There is no space that is large enough to accommodate all our tradesmen and all our workers and our storage. At this time, we were encouraged to enter into a shorter lease. The last lease was 5 years. That gives the city enough notice. They have some possible options, but it will take at least 2 to 2.5 years for those to come to fruition. It does entail some demolition of current structures and building of new structures. So we're extremely hopeful that that could be something that materializes prior to the end of this lease. The specifics of the lease, if you have any questions, I have Marlene Siegel, who helped work with the real estate broker in order to finalize the 3-year lease that is before you tonight.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go around the room. Mr. Benahan has his hand up, or is that from before?
I think it was from before.
From before. Okay.
That was before, I'm sorry.
Okay. So do you have any questions about this?
No, not questions, sir.
Okay. Ms. Allen, do you have any questions about this?
No, I've said my piece.
Okay. Ms. Brown, do you have any questions?
Not necessarily about facilities, but I had a question to Mr. Testani. Are we still doing updates even during the students are doing remote learning? Are we still just checking in and seeing how that's going as well?
Yeah, so to get a good understanding after we're now into week 2. Tomorrow I begin having some student roundtable discussions at all the schools. So we take an hour with representation from all the students at all of our high school buildings to kind of get some feedback on what's going right, what they see, what they need, so we can make those improvements. And we are monitoring very closely, Ms. Brown, the usage of Teams by all our staff members on a weekly basis. So principals are getting weekly reports to monitor which teachers are engaged properly with students the proper amount of time. So it's important that we do a really good job. This is not March and April. We've talked about that. So, but we are, tomorrow, I believe I have Central is the first one. And every day this week I have a different, and going into next week, a new different school with representatives from across the entire school building to give feedback on how things are going with remote, how things are just going in general.
Thank you. I know we talked about, just making sure we're doing check-ins with them, so I thought it was important to ask.
Yes, thank you. No, I appreciate it.
Okay. Ms. Martinez, are you here? Okay. Mr. Lombard, do you have any questions?
No, no questions. I was in the committee. We talked about it.
Okay. Dr. Fabian, any questions?
No question. I participated in the meeting and I have no questions.
Okay. Mr. Skolovic, any questions?
No, asked and answered in committee.
Okay. Mr. Taylor, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. So I am going to seek an approval to enter into the lease for the property at 1085 Connecticut Avenue as explained by the superintendent. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lombard. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Allen. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Nays, yeah, opposed.
Mr.
Taylor
opposed. Mr. Taylor opposes. Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries 7-1
I'm
with
sorry, Mr. Walden. Mr. Walden, I was on mute. I said abstain. I'm sorry.
motion carries 6-1 with 1 abstention. Okay. Next on the agenda, discussion and possible approval to solicit absence management and substitute staffing services. Mr. Testani.
Yes, so I will have Marlene present on this. She'll give you a little bit more detailed. But the general concept is we do have a substitute staffing service that we currently contract with, Kelly Services. And we'd like to continue that relationship. I believe our contract ends sometime in the spring. But again, I'll have Marlene present to you a little bit more detail and answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Ms. Siegel?
Yes, thank you, and good evening. So the RFP for absence management and substitute staffing services is a request for proposal for firms interested in fulfilling 3 requirements. The first is an absence management system that encompasses daily absence reporting for all teachers, classroom paraprofessionals, and non-certified staff. Number 2, placement of substitute teaching staff in the Bridgeport Public Schools based on the district's substitute allocation model. And number 3, placement of substitute pre-kindergarten paraprofessionals in designated classes, which means the general ed pre-K classes where only one paraprofessional is assigned. As the superintendent indicated, the current vendor for the first 2 objectives, the absence management system and the placement of substitute teaching staff, is Kelly Educational Services. And the contract with Kelly will end on June 30th, 2021. It was a 3-year agreement. And at the time that the RFP was issued 3 years ago, and at the time the contract was negotiated, was not permitted by the city purchasing office to allow for extensions beyond 3 years. Going forward, we want to include in the RFP and in the ultimate contract the flexibility for the board to extend a 3-year agreement by 1 or 2 years at its sole discretion, and of course with the agreement of the vendor and subject to satisfactory rates. Now, I just wanted to make a comment about the 3rd objective that I mentioned, because that objective is new, and that is the placement of substitute pre-K paras. So currently, pre-K paraprofessional absences are covered by Delta T, our vendor for specialized substitute staffing. And as I mentioned when we discussed the prior RFP for specialized substitute staffing, in that RFP, we specified that we were interested in identifying 1 or more vendors who, neither of whom would be an exclusive provider of services. So, excuse me, going forward, we would want the vendor responsible for the absence management system to also be responsible for the placement of substitute paras. And the reason for that is that it would be automatic. Classroom paras report their absences to the absence management system. Therefore, the absence would be recorded on the dashboard, and it would be visible to potential subs identified by the vendor, and those potential subs could select that absence automatically, and it can be easily tracked. Currently, the process is that the principal notifies me directly when there's going to be an absence, and I notify Delta T, and Delta T attempts to fill that absence. So we're aiming going forward to streamline and facilitate that process. Now, in the case of a long-term absence of a pre-K para, if the vendor isn't able to fill that absence within 2 days, we reserve the right to utilize other vendors, including the vendor or vendors selected for specialized substitute staffing. So in summary, I've identified the 3 purposes of the RFP, and the vendor who is selected would be the exclusive provider of substitute teaching staff, and a non-exclusive provider of subs for pre-K paras, but the first or primary provider for an occasional absence. Are there any questions?
Okay, I'm just going to go around the room. Ms. Allen, do you have any questions about this?
No, not now. I'm just trying to absorb all this stuff.
Sure. Mr. Benahan, any questions?
No. Thank you, sir.
Ms. Brown?
No questions.
Okay. Dr. Fabian? Any questions, doctor? You're muted.
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Lombard, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Sokolovic, any questions?
No questions.
Okay, it appears we've lost Mr. Taylor and Ms. Martinez. So I'm going to seek a motion to authorize the staff to solicit absence management and substitute staffing services through the RFP that they've just presented. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lombard. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sokolovic. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
I'm staying.
Mr. Benahan abstains. Final item on the agenda is discussion possible approval of the calendar year 2021 schedule of regular public meetings. This was developed by the superintendent's office. As I understand it, there's one instance in April where things were moved around a bit to accommodate the spring break. Has everyone reviewed the schedule? Does anyone have any questions or issues about it? Ms. Allen?
None at this time.
Okay. Mr. Benahan?
Mr. Warden, I heard, Connie, like, I didn't hear everything you just said. Can you repeat it again, please?
So the schedule of regular meetings for calendar year 2021 was developed by the superintendent's office. It follows our adopted schedule of every second and fourth Monday, with the exception of, I believe there's a deviation in the spring because the second Monday would fall during spring break. So they moved it to the first Monday.
Okay, no, I'm agree. I'm okay with that.
Okay. Ms. Brown, do you have any questions or concerns?
No questions.
Okay. Mr. Lombard?
No, sir.
Dr. Fabian?
No questions and no concerns.
Okay. Mr. Sokolovic?
Yeah, I didn't have time to look at it as much as I'd like to, but did we review just to make sure that there's no Jewish holidays or anything? Because we had that issue like.
I'm going to defer to Ms. Valier. I believe she did a review of it and she did a secondary review with her colleague in the office there. Ms. Valier?
Yes, sir. I did not find or locate anything that ended up being in conflict.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to seek a motion to adopt the 2021 regular meeting schedule as prepared by the staff. Is there a motion to that effect?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Moved by Ms. Brown. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Ms. Allen. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. That schedule will be filed with the city clerk and I believe Secretary of the State. Is that correct?
Sir, it is not required to be sent to the Secretary of State, just to be posted with our city clerk's office.
City clerk's office. Okay. Within 30 days, not less than 30 days of that first meeting, correct?
I believe so.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Allen. Is
Second.
there a second?
I second.
Second by Mr. Benahan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? All right. Time is noted as being 7:41 p.m. The next meeting we have scheduled is for Monday, December 21st. Okay,
All right, everyone.
that's all.
be
Have a
safe.
good night,
great
everyone.
Good night. Have a blessing, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.